Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. So good to see everybody. Welcome. Shout out the city you're from. And also, as we get started, as you tell me what city you're from, also give me a yes. Let's do a quick audio check. I want to make sure I'm coming through okay. Audio check. And also, if you do like to listen to this podcast on audio, it is on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, look up my name, Boyce Watkins. You can also find my podcast there. Give me a yes if you can hear me. I see Ari Silberman is here. Let's see, Leroy Dawson, Gina out of the DMV, KW42998. I see you too. William Sheila, B1 to you too. Yo, yes. Smart Dog, B1 Virginia. Gina, an invoice for no-show guest, right? So you already foreshadowed the topic for sure. Kathy Thomas, B1 Michigan. I just did a flight training today, and I flew over a part of Michigan today, so I've got Michigan on my mind a little bit. Let's see, Carla Alton, B1 Arizona. Good to see you, Terrence Tech. Larry B out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or Boca Raton, Florida. Why did I say Baton Rouge? I don't know what's wrong with me today. Anyway, let's see. Terrence Tech out of Rhode Island. Charmaine, Tara Redmond. Okay, thank you so much for giving me the audio check. And so get comfortable and go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. So as I get ready for my trip, I'm going to LA next week, by the way, on the 8th and the 9th. I'm going to be doing a 2-day Black Wealth training camp. If you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com. It's all about monetizing your life, like basically how to use the internet to turn that into your business. So feel free to go to my website to find out more. There was this crazy story that I just had to cover today that had to do with this couple. There's this couple that had a wedding. And not everybody showed up, and that happens at weddings. Not everybody that says they're coming actually shows up. There are people that RSVP who don't actually come through the door. Well, this couple handled it a little bit differently. They actually sent an invoice to all of the people that did not show up to the wedding. They literally sent this invoice. It's the craziest story I've ever seen. And so in this invoice, they basically said, "You owe us $240." They literally sent out this story was covered in the New York Post and some other places, and they told everybody who didn't attend that you owe us money because weddings cost money. Destination weddings are super expensive, and this couple, which is a couple out of Chicago, just sent this invoice. Now, was it a joke or not? I don't know. But I thought it was worth talking about because, as you guys know, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking, which is all about love and money and how those two interact. And it's really a fascinating topic, for me as a financial guy, because I've always been interested in how you blend the two and how you make financial decisions together. And so here's I'm gonna read the story to you, and then I even asked my wife to come in because my wife, my lovely wife, Alicia, is a relationship therapist, and of course she is my wife, and so shout out to the smart Black women in the building, and so she has a perspective on this as well. But let me read some of the story to you. It's in the New York Post. It says here, newlyweds let me see, newlyweds send a $240 bill to guests who were no shows for their wedding. It says the honeymoon is over for a pair of newlyweds who were so steaming mad at wedding no shows, who originally RSVP'd yes, that they slapped them with a $240 bill to cover the cost. A now viral photo of the invoice tickled Twitter this week, calling out the no-show, no-call guests. So they didn't just call out the people who couldn't make it. They called out the people who didn't make it and did not let them know that they weren't coming, right? So they it seems like they were offended. It seems like there were hurt feelings. And so on this invoice, they said that they basically invoiced them for their wedding. Now it says, a $240 invoice. I guess if you had yourself and you brought a plus one, you RSVP for plus one, $120 per person. The couple is Doug Simmons and Deidre McGee, 44 and 43, respectively, out of Chicago. And the resulting wedding bill was posted to Doug's Facebook, and he said, "This invoice is being sent to you because you confirmed seats at the wedding reception during the final head count. A note at the bottom of the petty post reads, because you didn't call or give us proper notice that you wouldn't be in attendance, this amount is what you owe us for paying for your seats in advance. You can pay via Zelle or PayPal. Please reach out to us and let us know which method of payment works for you. Thank you." All right, so let's just do a quick little poll amongst intelligent black people. Do you think this was do you think this is a good or just petty as hell? What do y'all think? Do you think this is a good thing? Is justice served? You like, hey, how dare you not show up to the wedding? Or do you think that they're being kind of petty? What do y'all think? What's your take on this? I'd like to know if you guys agree or disagree with the couple. Let's see. I'm looking here. Gina says guests have absolutely no legal obligation to pay said invoice. Not going to happen, regardless if they did not send a decline. Okay. Yvonne says, let's see, they sent a message, but they won't be able to collect. Probably not. Michael Ruff says petty but reasonable. King Green says reasonable. All right. D says it is just. Okay, it's just. Yo-Yo says there's no legal contract. This is interesting. I'm not surprised by this because I think this is kind of a controversial thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. I thought that it's just, but sometimes just because something's just doesn't mean you have to do it, right? I want to ask y'all a question. Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. Do you think that that them sending an invoice to their friends who RSVP'd and didn't show up, do you think that's going to damage the relationship between themselves and their friend? Give me a yes or no. Do you think that it's going to be sort of business as usual, or do you think that there's going to be some hard feelings on both sides going forward that might damage the relationship long term? What do you all think? Give me a yes or no. Do you think that it's or just let me know? Do you think there's going to be some damage, or do you think it's going to be fine? Okay, yes, no doubt, says Elijah. From the Projects to the Penthouse podcast. That's a nice name for a podcast. Everybody go follow that podcast. From the Projects to the Penthouse. We support black-owned businesses here. So if you have a black-owned business, state the name of your business in the chat. And if I see it, I'll shout you out. Carla Williams, petty and sad. Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. This is my give me a yes if it's okay if I go Uncle Boyce on this and give a specifically uniquely Boyce Watkins opinion. And then also to make sure I get a lot of perspectives on this, I invited my lovely wife in here to talk about it because my wife is a full professor of social work and a licensed therapist. And so she has a lot to say about these topics, I can imagine. And so here's what I think. Let me tell you, I'll explain my position with a story. I was the best man in a friend's wedding many years ago when I was young and I was broke. And I remember being so pissed off when he invited me to be the best man. I was so angry. And you say, well, why would you be angry? It's an honor to be a best man. Yes, it is, but it's not an honor when you can barely afford the flight and you can barely afford the tux and you can barely afford anything related to the wedding. So I was kind of annoyed. I was like, man, I'm in grad school. I'm trying to survive. And you got me paying for all this stuff for this wedding. But I did it because that was my boy and I wanted to come through for him. So I did. I came through for my friend. I spent all the money. I spent my last nickel, barely got by, etc. And so here's what occurred at that point. So I go to the wedding. We do the wedding. It's a great experience. Everybody's happy, wonderful, beautiful, all this other stuff. Well, they got divorced less than a year later. They literally got divorced less than a year later. And I remember thinking to myself, why did you waste my damn time? Why did you waste everybody's time having all these people come to a wedding that wasn't even going, where the marriage wasn't even going to last? Yeah, I would have been happy if y'all just stayed boyfriend and girlfriend until y'all figured it out and learned the meaning of this word that is falling out of style. And that word is called commitment. And again, everybody has their own definition of what commitment means, right? And I'm not going to debate that. This is not a debate on that topic. What I am here to say, though, is that we live in a society where people just don't really value sort of keeping their promises the way they used to, right? Like a commitment to me, well, the way I was raised was if I say I'm going to do something, that means I'm going to do it, right? If I say I'm going to stay married to this person, then I'm going to stay married to them, right? But now it's like, we stay married, but I wasn't happy, or I got bored, or they made me mad, or whatever, right? And then it's fine. It's fine. It's life, right? That's a modern society that we live in, but that's not in my world. That's not what commitment means. Commitment, Richard Ford, sickness, health, death do you part, all that, right? So here's where I'm getting at. Here's where I'm going with this this seemingly complex analogy, which ain't that complex. Basically, when you think about this, right? When we get married, most Americans, half of all Americans get a divorce anyway. They don't keep their commitment to whatever vow that they made. And so what's happened here is that the guests also didn't keep their commitment to come to the wedding that they agreed to attend. They said, we're coming to the wedding. We'll be there. I'll see you, dog. I got my nice tux. I can't wait. I'm excited. And then no call, no show, no nothing, no responsibility, no accountability, no nothing. Right? I don't have a problem with them holding the guests accountable. But I really also wonder if we just live in a society where nobody's held accountable for not keeping their commitments, where it's just sort of like promises don't mean what they used to mean. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you get what I'm saying on this. So I almost it's fascinating, right? On one hand, you have the couple that's clearly upset that they don't a couple that's clearly upset that people did not keep their commitment to show up to the wedding they agreed to attend, right? And then you have also the scenario where I was upset with my friend because you got me to spend money on a commitment that didn't last. You and your wife stayed married for a year, and I don't get my money back. Can I get a refund on all the money I spent coming to your wedding? Can I get a refund on the money I spent on that tux, on that plane ticket, on that hotel? I remember all of that because I didn't have that much money at that time. So I'm not saying that that's the case, right? Of course, he's not going to pay me back. I'm not going to ask him to do that because that would be petty too. But when you're really talking about damaging relationships because you're holding someone accountable to a commitment that they made, I think that there's culpability that kind of goes all the way around. And I think that what's really difficult is if you are a person who does keep your commitments and you live in a world where people find reasons to void the contract after the fact. So the same way, this couple, they're making the commitment to be married forever, right? Which we know has a 50-50 chance of not actually happening, right? Well, maybe wedding guests also have the right to say, yeah, I made a commitment to come to your wedding, but there's about a 50-50 chance I'm gonna actually show up, right? Is that the world we live in? Or, where are the solid people at? Where are the people at that make a promise and will keep the promise even when it's not convenient? Where are the people that will commit to something and stick with it no matter what, even when it's hard? I don't know I think those people are a rare breed. And I want to give a shout out to the people who live in that category. If you are a person who works hard to keep your commitments and your promises, put a yes in the chat, because I do think that these people were petty. I think it's tacky as hell. This couple spent all this money on the wedding, and you said you're coming. You didn't even call. That's crazy as hell. But at the same time, I think sending the invoice is a bit too much. Sometimes you just got to take the L and keep it moving, right? Some of us can't do that. Some of us can't move on, and that's where petty comes from. So at that point, it becomes almost like a spiritual, metaphysical conversation. Like get past petty, get past the past, move on with your life. It's okay that you got to do that, people. So if you're mad at somebody because they didn't keep their commitment, or you got left at the altar, so to speak, in business or whatever, you got to move on. You got to that's what I think. I think that if they are serious, like if they're seriously doing this, they got to understand that even if they're justified, it still makes them look bad. It still makes them look ridiculous, right? And so my personal thought, my Uncle Boyce advice to anybody out here: when somebody hurts you, find a way to forgive. Forgiveness is the most powerful tool that you'll ever have in your arsenal, right next to love. Love and forgiveness are the two most powerful tools you can possess. I have to carry a double dose of both of those to deal with the tough situations I've had just doing business in the Black community, right? Just having people fail on their end of the bargain, or borrow money, not pay it back, or endure create all kinds of what really actually, and I'm gonna bring my wife in a second because she speaks to these kinds of things, and create lots of financial trauma. This financial trauma is a very real thing. It's where somebody makes a promise, doesn't keep it, it costs you money, and then you're mad, right? So effectively, actually, if you want to know what my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, is all about, it's on Amazon or on boycewatkins.com. Feel free to go take a look. I talk a lot about these things, about sort of identifying the solid people in your life, and doing business with those people, marrying those people, and forming positive, powerful friendships with those people. All right. Because your real friends, in my view, are not going to tell you I'm coming and then not show up. So then at that point, you have to ask, well, why was I inviting this person to my wedding in the first place? When my wife and I got married, I'm bringing her in here. We're going to talk. I'm going to ask her questions about our wedding. She don't know what's going to happen. But really, when I was making the guest list, we weren't trying to show off and show out in terms of just inviting any and everybody. If you were not a good person, you were not going to get an invitation. We invited people that really meant something to us, that were solid people. And so I don't even know who didn't show up or who RSVP'd and didn't show up, but most of the people that were there or we're not those kinds of people. So anyway, do me a favor, everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Just a reminder, I'm going to be in Los Angeles September 8th and 9th doing a Black Wealth training camp. If you'd like to join us in LA, just go to boycewatkins.com. Also, the All Black National Convention happens October 20th through the 22nd in Atlanta. It is the #1 gathering of Black first, Black oriented, Black intelligent people on the planet, those who care about our community, those who want us to build wealth. It's the place for you. If you want us to build families, it's the place for you. If you want us to recontrol our politics, it's the place for you. If you want us to regain control of our kids, this is the place for you. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. I'll put the URL on the screen, allblacknationalconvention.com. And also, if you want to get stock market alerts where I send you guys stocks that I'm interested in, you guys know I wrote my dissertation on the stock market. You can text the word stock to 31996. Just text stock to 31996. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to bring in my lovely wife because she's been patiently waiting in the green room to come in with her 2 cents. And I first of all, I want to say, hey, good looking. How you doing, girl?
Hey, how are you feeling, Boyce?
I'm feeling good. You could tell I was riled up, couldn't you?
Yeah, you seem pretty riled up.
You know, I was riled up. You know, another reason I'm riled up. Y'all don't know this, but y'all know this week, y'all. This week. Pay attention now. This week is the 30th year from the day I first laid eyes on this beautiful woman. This is the 30th year to the day. And I'm wearing, look at what you see what I'm wearing? I'm wearing my Indiana University gear because that was the day I saw you, and I saw you across a crowded room. And I remember that day. I remember I had homework to do that day, and I was in graduate school. And I noticed you across the room. And in my journal that night, I wrote, "Today I met the most beautiful woman in the world." And I read that to you at our wedding. And so we're gonna go back to our old campus in the same spot that we met and celebrate. So I just, yeah, it's not like a 30th wedding anniversary because I didn't get to marry you, but I know that's debatable, right? That's if you listen to the internet, she friend zoned me, but that's not true. She didn't friend zone me. I actually could be accused of friend zoning her because I didn't ask her out. Sometimes you just meet somebody that's so amazing, so gorgeous that you get a little bit apprehensive, so I was a little nervous, I ain't gonna lie, but now she's my wife, and we've been married for 2.5 years now, and we've been our relationship is 6 years old, 7 years old, something like that, and I appreciate you. So I want to say that out loud because I think we got to appreciate the amazing Black women in our lives. So anyway, how you doing today, babe?
I'm good. That's an interesting story. 30 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Where this, what all happens this week.
I feel like our life is like a Forrest Gump movie, except you can't be Jenny though, because Jenny was a crazy drug addict, but you're kind of like you're kind of like my Jenny, right? I'm like a smarter version of Forrest because I've always been smitten with you as Jenny, but you're not Jenny though, because Jenny was kind of messed up.
You're not quite a savant. I mean, I think Forrest Gump was a little bit of a savant.
Yeah, he was
kind of like a savant.
Well, anyway, maybe. Well, all these years, I don't really, I don't keep a lot of friendships. Like every city I move to, I've always kept a tight circle of really important friends. I don't, even to this day. I told someone the other day, I said I can't have 10,000 friends. I have a few people that I talk to that I just know really well, and you were one of those people. And all through those years, I would just move from city to city and kind of forget about what I was doing in the last city, like what my whole social circle was. But you would always find me, like all through those years. You would call me and, "Hey, boys," and I'd be like, "Oh, there's that drop dead gorgeous girl that I knew back in India," and so we stayed friends for all those years. And so here we are married. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I never would have predicted it like back then. No, it's kind of nuts, right?
Oh, and I remember the day you confessed your love for me. You remember that day?
Yeah. I just said it to get it off my chest. I didn't think you were actually going to be.
I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't see that side. I saw the friendship, Boyce. I never saw this other side. You got another side to you, Boyce. You got layers. You got levels and layers.
Levels and layers.
Levels and layers. You're complex, Boyce.
Well, don't we all? Well, anyway, I love you and I appreciate you very much. And so let's get back to the topic. I thank you all for indulging us, allowing us to share this. And I'm very honored to be your husband, and very honored to get a chance to help you raise the kids and everything. It's a real blessing, and I want everybody to kind of, whatever you're thinking about doing with your life, I'm not telling you to do what I do or anything like that, but find your bliss wherever that bliss may be. Don't let other people tell you how to live your life. This. So anyway, all right. So let's keep going. All right. So this topic, there's this couple, and you heard me talk about them a little bit. They got married, and people didn't show up. Some people didn't show up, and because it was so expensive, and they were pissed off, they sent out these invoices to all of their no-show friends, the ones who didn't show up, but yet didn't tell them, and they want $240 to be paid immediately via Cash App or Zelle. What are your thoughts?
I think when you get married and when you plan a wedding and you get married, it is a leap of faith. You got to take a leap of faith. You got to take a leap of faith that your public commitment to this person will be long lasting. And so there's a little bit of an X factor there. So you can't know everything. You can't have a crystal ball and know exactly how things are going to turn out. You just take a leap of faith that the people around you who was witness to this relationship will also be people who feel like it's important for them to come and help you celebrate your union. You take a leap of faith that the person that you're committing yourself to make a vow publicly, that person to be your other half, you take a leap of faith that you'll be together no matter what. And that's what commitment is. It's just being committed to the process, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, and not being in control of another person and what they say and do. And so, I just think that just goes with relationships and marriage and planning a wedding together. And I feel sorry for this couple who was excited about people being excited about their union. They promised that they would come and help them to celebrate. You pay. It's expensive. Weddings are expensive. You have to pay for their plate. And I think it's extremely tacky to say that you're going to show up to a wedding and just kind of blow it off and not show up and not give an explanation and not at least pay for the plate, the food. And I think that you need to reevaluate your support system and the people around you. So that's my initial thoughts. I got other thoughts, but those are my initial thoughts.
Well, it's kind of like a lack of respect, It's like we went through all this trouble to set this up and invite you, and you didn't even have the decency to let us know you're not coming. And I think that's different from just penalizing people who either choose not to show up or those who tell you they're not going to show up. But when you get to the point where you said you're coming and then you didn't show up and you didn't have the accountability to say, hey, go ahead and save the money, because I'm not coming, that speaks to something even deeper in terms of just like almost like I'm spitting on you. Like I'm completely disrespecting your resources. And that almost says that maybe these are, again, I don't agree with the idea of sending the invoice. I think that's a little bit much. However, if you think about it, right, you send somebody an invoice like that, they probably ain't gonna want to be your friend no more, right? Unless they apologize, right? So they're not gonna be your friend. But the process is sometimes God blesses us by revealing who our true friends are. So the fact that they have done this dastardly thing, this thing that's kind of trifling, to be honest with you, that shows you like this person ain't supposed to be your friend anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna send you this invoice because you're showing me you don't care about me. I'm gonna show you I don't care about you, and then you're gonna get mad, and then we won't talk anymore, and that'll be good for both of us. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now the people who showed up, who your friends are, and the people who didn't show up, who blew you off and decided they weren't going to help celebrate a very important moment for you. Basically ruined your wedding if a lot of people didn't show up. And yeah, now you're the wiser. You're all the more the wiser. And yeah, sending the invoice is tacky. But you send the invoice not because you expect the people to pay the invoice. You send it to them just to let them know, yes, we recognize that you promised you were going to come. We recognize the fact that you didn't come. And we just want to let you know how much money you wasted.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
everybody, by the way, my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And in case you want to know, our podcast is called Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. This did not start off as a pillow talk, but my wife came in right when I got started talking to you guys. And I said, you know what? Let me see what Alicia thinks, because I really wanted to get your perspective on this. If y'all could do us a favor really quick, please hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, and also a certified trauma specialist. She's also the co-creator of our Black Financial Therapy department that we have in the Black Business School, where we actually talk about the psychological barriers that keep us from building Black wealth. And so it's some real groundbreaking stuff. I'm super excited to do this work with her. And her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And in case you guys you guys may or may not know this, but Dr. Alicia's written a lot of really good books that you can feel free to take a look at. I'm going to see if I can put them on the screen and show you all so you can take a look here. But you can see that she has books on a digital download called Drama Free Marriage. She has another book called Overcoming Financial Anxiety, The Drama Free Family, let's see here. And then there's and then there's like a whole bundle of the books that you can get where you can throw in my book, Financial Lovemaking. So
well, look at that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so it's all up
there. To the website.
Yeah. So if you guys want to take a look, actually, I put it on my website. You can go to drboycebooks.com. And if you go to drboycebooks.com and just look for, just type in the word Alicia in the search box, you'll find all of her books. If you want to get rid of the drama in your life, she's somebody that can help you with that. And anyway, on the other thing too is you can use a coupon code. If you use the coupon code Book Club, all one word, you can get 30% off anything in the store. So use the code word Book Club, drboycebooks.com. All right, so let's hop back in and hit this topic then. So let me show you all something. The average, I looked up some statistics on the average cost of a wedding. In 2019, the average wedding cost was actually about $33,000. Now it's gone up since that time, and so weddings are really expensive. And and one of the things that a lot of you may not know, but I'll share this with you. I want y'all to guess, if I took $33,000 and I invested it in, say, the stock market, and I earned, let's say, an average of 10% per year in a mutual fund over the next 20 years, how much money do you think I would have? How much money do you think that $33,000 would be worth? I'm not saying don't spend money on your wedding. I just want to state this statistical fact. Try to guess. 33,000 invested in, let's say, a mutual fund for 20 years. How much wealth would you have at that point? What do you think? What's your guess, Alicia?
I don't know. I think I sent you a post on that, and I forgot what the answer was.
Okay.
I think I sent something to you.
Well, if you earn an average of 10% per year, which that's happened before over 20 years.
10% is $3,000.
No, if you earn 10% ROI, 10% of return on investment in your mutual fund per year.
Wait, 10% of $30,000 is $3,000.
No. It's not 10% of 30,000. No, it's 10% compounded interest. 10%.
Compound. Okay.
Yeah. The number grows into $241,826. $241,000 in 20 years. Now, even if you only earn 8% instead of 10%, it becomes $162,584. If you do 8% and you go over a 30-year period instead of 20 years, you're talking about $360,000. And so really, when you buy, now what's the equation, mister? It's called the future value of an annuity equation. We cover a lot of this stuff in my stock market investing training camp. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com to take a look. It costs like $1 to give it a try if you'd like to try out the class. But anyway, the first month is $1. So and I'll put the URL on the screen. It's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. We do stock market stuff on a regular basis. All right. So here's the point I'm making here, right? I'm not saying don't get married, and I'm not saying don't spend on your wedding. What I am saying is, I think economically speaking, we have to really process and internalize and even meditate on how much money we're giving up when we get married. You're not just spending a certain $33,000 or $40,000. You're really spending an amount of money that would be a massive amount of generational wealth if you were passing that down to a child, right? $360,000 passed down to a kid is it changes everything. Everything, right? So when we spend that money and we think, oh, okay, yeah, it was bad, but it was $33,000. That's a lot of money. No, it was actually more than that, because it wasn't just the amount of money that you spent; it was the amount that would have grown into, right? So, like, for example, if somebody, God forbid, were to take the life of a newborn baby, you're not just ending the life of a baby, you're ending the life of everything that baby would have become, every child that baby would have had. That you're ending the life of that baby's lineage, that baby's grandchildren, great grandchildren, and great grandchildren, right? Do you follow what I'm saying? So I want you to think about money like that. Money does the same thing. Money gives birth. Dollar bills give birth to other dollar bills. Dollar bills are fertile. Dollar bills, money capital grows. Just like a plant grows or a person grows, and so what it reproduces. That's what compound interest is. It's massive reproduction. So effectively, what I want you to really think about is, when you're spending money, I'm not telling you not to spend. What I think everyone should do, and babe, I'd like to get your thoughts on this. Understand the gravity of what you're investing. Marrying a person is a lifetime investment. That is a massive investment. It's way up there, bigger than your house, bigger than your career, bigger than a lot of things. So you got to think that through. You can't just pick the girl that's got the biggest booty. What do you think, babe?
I mean, I like your compound interest because it has to do, to me, relatable to how you interact. Like when I see relationships, I see the interpersonal interactions on a day-to-day, hour by hour, minute by minute interaction. And what are you doing in terms of building the trust and the love between the two of you? Boyce, you mentioned commitment. And I want to just commend you for your commitment to being a friend, to your friend, where you stood in their wedding. I mean, that's a great commitment to you. It's a good testament of how you are as a friend. But to develop that sort of friendship takes, phone calls and discussions, and you link together. You have a lot in common, and you build on this friendship, and you have experiences with each other. And so I look at that when I think about relationships. Your commitment to a relationship is similar in a way, your commitment to building money in the relationship. You have to put in. You have to put in more than you put out sometimes. And that's why I think the quid pro quo, doesn't really work with me. You have to do it because that's your commitment to the relationship. And so many people think that, oh, I'm going to get married and that's the end of it. They don't think about the day-to-day commitment that it takes to build a relationship and to build that interpersonal relationship with somebody. Where'd you go? I can't see you, but
you can't see me because I took myself off the screen. Keep talking.
Okay, I want you to
talking. You got us captivated, man. Keep going.
Yeah,
keep going.
so I mean, that sort of thing also is compound interest. Think about it, as you invest and that grows in your checking account, you have to invest in the relationship, and that also grows as a checking account. How many interactions are you having with each other? Is it a positive interaction? When you think about your spouse in your head, when your spouse is not around, are you thinking great thoughts and positive thoughts? Or are you thinking, oh my goodness, I got to deal with this, or is it negative? And so that sort of thing grows, and you can feel when someone's not thinking positive thoughts about you. And so I think where we lose our commitment is when we lose our commitment to build and grow the love. Because when you get married, it's the beginning part of the love that you're showing publicly. And at each year, it should be growing. So this weekend, when we go to Bloomington, I would love to see a conversation between me and you, of course, about where we're going. How else are we going to work together as a couple to grow and build, not only financially, but just interpersonally, in terms of how we treat each other, interact with each other, and making sure that we're showing love to each other in a way that is noticed and received. And I recommend that to all couples to really, take time out of your regular day, because we're busy people, boys. Taking time out of your regular day to really, oh, look at that, to really show
Remember that?
how you feel about each other. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a picture of our wedding, everybody. That's when Alicia and I got married,
That's something.
and all the grooms. Yeah, so here's and here's some more pictures. I'll just scan them through so you guys can see some. That's El Shaddai singing and Victory Boyd's back there. Victory was Rock Nation, and you remember that picture?
I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then yeah, that's D1, that's Willie D, who was in our wedding. That brother, that's John Henry, and this brother does business. He runs a cannabis business. I don't have his name in front of me. We gave
Oh,
we gave away copies of Powernomics at our wedding too. Like that was something that we decided we didn't really want gifts. We wanted to give gifts to all of our guests. So and gifts that reflected what we believe in. So Alicia was gracious enough to allow me to give away copies of Powernomics to everybody who attended. So that was kind of cool. I appreciated her letting me do that. And yeah, so when I think about, like when we got married and just kind of what that, the whole experience looks like. And we did something that, was interesting, right? We showed it to everybody. I showed it to everyone because it's something I believe in. I believe in black families and black women and all that stuff. And so it's like, no, I'm gonna be open about this. And it wasn't cheap. Weddings aren't cheap. And there's a conversation about, like how much you're willing to spend and stuff like that. And I think that with this couple, I'm wondering if it's one of those things that it will make me almost say, if you can't afford to have people not show up, maybe a better approach might be to pick something that's affordable where you're okay with, with things possibly going wrong. Like, right. Like if you're that cash strapped to the point where you got to send invoices to people and tell them to send money to your Cash App, that makes me wonder, like, what is your financial state after that wedding? Are you in are you in a good economic position? Because I kind of feel like, I kind of wonder, like, like because if you're, so I think that might be a rule of thumb with weddings and engagements that I consider, I think people should consider, which is to really think about what you can afford and don't listen to what society tells you, like, because there's a whole industry around this. There's even the whole idea of giving someone a diamond to show your love. That was created by a campaign by De Beers. People didn't give diamonds when they got married 100 years ago. De Beers said, we got to get people to buy more diamonds, and we know people follow the crowd, so let's just tell everybody that if you really love your spouse, you'll give them a diamond. And so they ran this ad called Diamonds Are Forever. They won awards for this campaign because they say, wow, you really brainwash people with this one. This is good. And they put it in a James Bond movie to make it look really cool. And they played the song Diamonds Are Forever, Forever. Even Jay-Z sampled that song later on. And now suddenly we live in a world where if you don't give somebody a diamond to get engaged to them, they think something's wrong. Like, or if the rock ain't big enough, so I just kind of think people should make your own rules. I know when I got engaged and I read that stuff about 2 weeks salary and all that, I said, oh, or 2 months salary. That's what they said. That again, that's another thing they just made up. They just picked a number that was really big and said, let's tell everybody that this is how much they're supposed to spend. I was like, I'm not spending that much. I'll invest 2 months salary, but I'm not going to spend it on jewelry, especially given I don't think my wife, I think you like your ring. You didn't care how much I spent on it because you're not a person that cares a lot about money, right?
Yeah, and I mean, God, where do we stop? I mean, we're a lot of things are marketed to us that we fall into. So it's a lot. It is a scam. Thank you for bringing that up. It is a scam. But I think the important part in terms of relationships is that the two people have to sit down and they have to decide realistically what they can afford. It's a great opportunity to not only plan for the wedding, but you also need to plan financially for your marriage. I mean, the wedding is just one day. It's just one day. What are you doing to make sure you're planning for the actual rest of your life theoretically with this person? I don't think it's fair to say, I'm not happy, so I don't want to be married to you anymore. I don't think that's fair. I think that when we look at the information, people struggle 5-6 years in a marriage with problems going on between you and your other spouse. They struggle for a really long time. And I think people get into the place where they just get frustrated. And out of that frustration is also moments where you're just thinking, you know what, if I can't get through to this person, if this person has lost their commitment to this relationship, then I don't know if we can be committed to each other. So there's some people who get married and just think, I married you, what else do you want from me? But on the end of it, it could be that people can fall out of their levels of commitment. Even though they're on paper married, there are some people who aren't committed to the marriage, even though you're legally married. But a lot of people, their commitment level wanes throughout the relationship. So I think we need to think a little more about the nuances when it comes to people deciding to get married and people deciding to dissolve the marriage. Because believe me, the marriage is over. I've been a marriage therapist for quite some time. The marriage is over long before legally it's over. And so the thing is that what's going on in how two people are interacting with each other, where the commitment was lost along the way.
Hey everybody! So today you're on Pillow Talk. I guess this might as well be called a Pillow Talk. My wife and I, Dr. Alicia, we're talking about a couple that got married, and when people didn't show up to the wedding, they sent them an invoice for $240 for themselves plus one, $120 a piece. And we were kind of debating that, and it led into a conversation about the high cost of marriage and what commitment actually looks like, and just commitment in general in relationships. And so if you could do us a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, my website is boycewatkins.com. We have lots of free resources there. You can get a copy of our $5 a day investing plan, things like that. And also Alicia's website. She's a licensed therapist. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And I'm trying to talk her into coming to Los Angeles with me on the 8th and the 9th. So if you want to fly into LA, or you live in the LA area, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Yeah. So if you want to join us in LA, basically this Black Wealth training camp in Los Angeles is going to be focused around basically monetizing your brand, building your brand online, what it means to build a platform. I had to build this platform from scratch. We have over 1 million subscribers on different YouTube channels. We have probably 3 million on Facebook, hundreds of thousands on Instagram, Twitter, all that. And also we created a business. We have put a lot of money back into the Black community and been able to support Black-owned schools, been able to hire people, been able to do a lot of things. And so this is the first time I'm actually talking about that formula. And this will probably be the last time I do this for a while. But if you are interested in coming, just take a look, go to boycewatkins.com, and you can join us out there. And I see my sister Say What She Wants is in there. How you doing, sister? Good to see you. And also everybody on Instagram and TikTok. What's happening to everybody out there too? All right, so let's talk about this topic on. Okay, so a lot of y'all thought it's funny when I asked everybody. I said, do you think it's appropriate or tacky that they sent an invoice to the people that didn't show up to the wedding and didn't even let them know they weren't coming? It seemed like it was almost like 50-50. Half of y'all said it was tacky. Half of you said it was appropriate. And I almost feel like if you wanted to look at the yin and the yang and see both sides, I see it to me, it's like it's appropriately tacky, right? It's appropriate in the sense that, yeah, that was dirty as hell for them to not show up to the wedding and then not even tell them they weren't coming. But then it's it was kind of like you were sort of sinking to their level, right? Like, you've proven to me that you're not really my friend because you don't respect my resources. You said you were coming, and you not only did you not show up, but you didn't even tell me you weren't coming, which means you were wasting my money. You have no respect for my money. That's pretty bad. So what I'm going to do is embarrass myself. I'm going to act just as tacky as you, and I'm going to send you an invoice and kind of make myself look a certain kind of way. And that's the part where I think it's kind of it concerns me a little bit, because I think you have to be careful about situations where you find yourself in a race to the bottom. Like, when you ever see people when they're like, oh, you don't think I can get ghetto? Oh, I can get ghetto. I can get loud too. I can get street like you. I can be gangster, right? And then next thing you know, you both look crazy. You both look stupid, right? You get what I'm saying? Like, they say, what's that saying, babe, where they say that when two people fight, they both look like idiots from a distance, and the world doesn't care who started it. The world doesn't care what they did to you. All people are seeing is how you're behaving, right? And I think that creates a really heavy type of accountability that isn't popular in this world, right? And what I mean by that is, I've just concluded in general, for the most part, that I am going to be the person that should be 100% accountable for not just my actions, but I'm also accountable for my reactions. Right. So that means, even if you are a dirty bastard, I ain't got to be a dirty bastard just to match your level of dirty bastardness, because I ain't trying to get dirty too. Now, I might have to walk away. I might have to distance myself. Believe me, I've done this a billion times, in terms of just business in the Black community, whatever. Some people are shady. Some people are good. You just have to pick and choose. But I always sort of stop myself. Like when I get in so somebody comes out, let's say somebody gets mad and because I cut them off or I fired them, and they're on the internet like, Dr. Boyce ain't nothing, he's a liar, he's a blah blah blah, and I'm mad because they're up there just making stuff up, and I'm like, oh, I want to say something back. You know what I do? I just stop. I say, no, just because they acting like a nigga don't mean I gotta be a nigga too. Excuse my French. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like that, right? Or same thing is true with commitment. I think, again, maybe this is an idea to consider. I know it's not popular. I know people don't think like this, but this is how I think. I would say my level of commitment to a relationship is not going to be contingent on always contingent on your level of commitment in the relationship, right? Like if I just say, look, I'm going to do XYZ and I'm going to come through, I'm not looking to see if you're equally committed all the time. Sometimes I just say, you know what? How you behave isn't going to shape what kind of person I become. I'm not going to let you pull me out of character, right? And I think that to some extent that gives you a level of balance and peace, because you, at least you're in control of that. You're not constantly reacting to things. And maybe you can talk about that in terms of what trauma does to us in the sense of causing us to kind of one up each other. Like, you did me wrong, I'm going to do you wrong too. I think Alicia froze, so I think she's on a different stream. So let me go ahead and remove. Look at that. There was double beauty on the screen. Oh my gosh, I had a moment right there. So go ahead. So did you hear what I
heard some of it. One thing I will ask for this particular couple is, where was the disconnect? Like, were they not taking the temperature of the people coming to their wedding? Like, were they not, if these were people who were close enough to them where they wanted to invite them into this very intimate experience, and then all of a sudden they're like, what happened to these people? They just decided not to show up. I mean, part of it is just like, how is it what happened that made a certain group of people just kind of like, forget it, I'm not going to their wedding? When did this happen? How did it happen? And how is it that this couple were deceived, allowed themselves to be kind of tricked in a way into thinking all these people would show up, and you got half of the place empty with food on the table that went to waste? Like, the thing is that how is it that you were such a bad judgment? Your judgment was kind of off, where you couldn't be able to tell. Like, wow. I never in a million years, when I have an event or if I have something where there's people who I love and cherish come to my house, come to our house and celebrate, I don't think for a moment that if they couldn't make it, they wouldn't say, I can't make it. Something came up. And to think that a whole bunch of people would just have me cook food and have food available and no one shows up to it, I'd be kind of thinking, like, where did the ball drop? And how is it that these people went under my radar and I didn't know they were shady characters? So if more than anything, I would have a conversation with my spouse about, why didn't we see this coming? Where were the red flags that we ignored? Was there an argument? Was there a situation? Was there a bunch of confusion? Family drama is always an issue. Like, what is it? What happened? I would try to make sense out of it, because experiences like this teaches you a lesson. When you're blindsided by something and you thought someone was your friend, you thought somebody would be supportive to you, and they ended up not being as supportive, you got to kind of like think about, okay, what am I committing myself to? Because just because you get, and that's another thing, but I'll just end it there. But
well, I want to ask you a question. Like, when we got married, I don't even remember who didn't show up. Do you remember? Like, do you remember who did? Like, if there was anybody who RSVP'd and then just didn't show? I don't even think we even talked about that. Like, and that yeah, like I didn't care. It's like, I mean, I was happy to see everybody who came, and the people who didn't come, I assumed they had a good reason or whatever. But then again, maybe it can come down to, I can also say I wasn't really worried so much about the money because I didn't want to have a wedding that we could not afford to the point where we'd be, tempted to send people invoices or sitting around kicking each other or kicking the world.
Boyce, I will say, I think we spent more money than we needed to.
Well, that just so in case y'all,
I was a little annoyed.
She's the frugal one in our relationship, and
I feel like we spent money on stuff that I was just like, why are we paying for this?
Yeah, I agree. So
part of it was, I was just like, these people need to pay for their own way. Like, I was just like, so some of it was a little bit of a discussion between me and you, where I was just like, I don't want to waste money on this.
It was.
Money on.
Yeah, and my position was like,
I was annoyed.
My position was,
let you know.
Yeah, my position was that when you get married, I'm getting married one time. That's my rule for myself was like, I'm getting married one time. So either I'm gonna marry one person and stay married forever, or I'll just be married once and never remarry if that were to be the case.
You would never remarry if something happened between us?
No, I mean, it's like, no, I wouldn't need to. I mean, it's like, I didn't get married. I didn't really get married. I got married because it was you. Like, I didn't get married because I needed to be married. Like, getting married could have been, there's probably 50 times I could have got married in my life, right? I just didn't want to. And that's why when people say, explain to me like why they don't want to do it, I don't argue with them. I'm like, yeah, I understand. I don't
argue with anybody either.
Yeah, I just say, you know what, but if you meet that woman where you're like, okay, I want to lock that in, like, you're like, okay, let me go ahead. Yeah.
Tell you.
I wasn't gonna like just find the best woman out there and marry her. It was more like, okay, I can't replace this person in front of me. Like, this person is so unique that there's nobody else on earth like her. So I will marry her, and that's it. So yeah. So any ladies that are praying for me to get a divorce so that you can marry me, just know I probably won't do it because I wasn't a person who sat around thinking about my wedding day. I just never did that. I've always been a happy person, single or not. So I think that's and that's a superpower too. I encourage everybody to find your way to your own bliss. Whether it's through a therapist or through reading certain books or spirituality. I think all that stuff, the meditation, that's very powerful to help you get to the point where you can really find your happiness. And then if another person comes in and they want to sit in your happiness with you, that's good. But don't be looking for people to make you happy. That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, wanting someone to make you happy, putting that responsibility on somebody to make you happy is a little, unrealistic. But I have to tell you, I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm in the first wives club. Because I really think it's something special about being the first wife. So I can honestly say I'm the first wife twice. Twice I've been the first wife. And,
And I would definitely always say, like, I think your ex-husband's a great guy. Like, he's great to co-parent with. I think the kids benefit. I tell the kids, hey, I'm your second dad. I'm your bonus dad. And I like that. I like the fact that our kids are safe and protected because I believe fathers matter. I think that that's another weird thing that's happened in this world where we decided that fathers don't matter anymore and kids are, and I'm like, no, I think fathers matter. You got two, and both fathers, in fact, we put your needs ahead of our needs. So you will never see us fighting each other in a way that's going to be destructive to your upbringing. Our goal is to work together to protect you. And I think that anybody out there, I applaud anybody else out there who's able to do something that almost comes off a little old fashioned. But when you're putting the kids ahead of your own selfish needs and desires, I think that's how you build a community, is how you build the next generation. It's about investing, sacrifice. All investing is sacrificing one thing so you can have more of something else, right? So if you're investing in your kids, that means you're sacrificing what you want, so they can have a little bit more. That's hard to do, in a selfish society. So anyway,
that's interesting. Your world. It's funny when you describe your world because you describe it as a selfish world. I don't think the world is selfish. I think, to me, I think the world. In our world, there's a great opportunity to grow and to love. And I think all of us are on our own growth cycle. And I don't see the world as dangerous. I don't see the world as challenging. And I don't see the world as selfish. I see the world as people struggling, trying to do their best. And people really, it all boils down to everybody wanting to love and to be loved. Yeah. This couple that got married, what a terrible blow to them to want to showcase the love for themselves and for each other. They invested in their audience. They invested in their attendees. Why does she have on red? She has a red dress on.
Why she went on? Maybe that's
she has on white. I don't know.
You think that could be
that's
for the?
Bizarre
You
to
think
me.
that's like don't people change clothes at the reception? Like why was she wearing a red dress, like a wedding dress? Like what does that mean if you wear red instead of white?
I don't know, but the thing is that it's such a privilege. I mean, you don't understand what an honor it is to meet somebody that you would even want to get married to. What an honor it is to meet somebody that you'd even like to go out on a date with. Like some of these people, you're just blessed to be able to just find anybody that you connect with, that you want to take it to the next level. I mean, I think that's such a beautiful thing. And it's a journey that two people who come together, you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about how to love. And if you hadn't gotten married, Boyce, you wouldn't have been able to grow in this particular way. I think marriage is a unique opportunity for all of us to grow and develop, because you got to grow up in order to be married. Being married forces you to grow up, because whereas you do need to have, it's this struggle. And I see this with a lot of my couples in my office. It's this adjustment period where you have to figure out, like, okay, this is how I used to operate. This is how you operated. How are we going to now operate together? And some of the things that you are used to, you're going to have to give up for the sake of the marriage. And you need to be able to decide how much of it you can give up and how much of it is core to you as a person. You're like, you know what? I can't give up on that. That's something that's dear and near to my soul, my heart, what I really believe in. But here are some things that we can negotiate. And I think that's the piece in it all. And as long as you're committed to keeping that negotiation, you're committed to being open and transparent and putting your all into the marriage, then you'll definitely grow and learn. But a lot of couples, for whatever reason, just don't have that level of commitment, and then things unfortunately fall apart, and it's okay.
All right. Well, by the way, everybody, you're watching drboycetv.com and Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. And this is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. My wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, and she sees clients on an individual and collective basis. So if you'd like to learn more about what she does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. And also she has books that you can take a look at. We don't get to talk about her books enough, but she's got books like Drama-Free Family, Drama-Free Relationships, things like that, Drama-Free Marriage. So if you seek to eliminate that drama and learn about therapy techniques that can help you kind of minimize the stress that comes from the drama, feel free. I put it on my website. Just go to drboycebooks.com, and there's sort of a whole bundle of books you can get. That includes 3 of her books, as well as my book, Financial Lovemaking. So feel free to go take a look at that at drboycebooks.com. You can use the code word book club, and that'll take 30% off anything in the store. So use the code word book club. And also, I will be in Los Angeles September 8th and 9th. So if you want to join us in LA, just go to boycewatkins.com. We're going to do a 2-day Black Wealth training camp, and all the details are at boycewatkins.com. And of course, you guys know we got the big convention coming up, All Black National Convention, October 20th in Atlanta. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com, and this podcast is on Spotify. So just search for my name and you'll find it. So a lot of good stuff out there. All right. So by the way, babe, I Google searched what different wedding dress colors mean. You want to hear what red means? This is according to dreamsdaybridalwear.com. Not that they're an authority, but they said red is the color of love. The bride who wears red is bold, passionate, and full of desire. Not for the faint-hearted. This is a bold statement to make on your wedding day. And,
yeah,
and actually,
I think, a lot of Indian families culturally. I don't know if you ever seen an Indian couple. Usually, she's wearing red. Or even some Asian brides, sometimes you'll see them wear red, but it's unusual to have a Black couple where the woman wears red.
Well, also red is like a mating color. Red is how, like in the animal kingdom, they said that right across the bird and animal kingdoms, the color red is used for communication, often to attract mates. So like they say that's like a subconscious way to let men know that you're ready,
fertility. I can see that.
Fertility. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but also with some animals, the males will have like a red beak. So it's something about red that's like come and get it. Like let's get it on. So, yeah, they said the color red symbolizes passion and desire, but red does not always signal danger and aggression. Perhaps not surprisingly, red also symbolizes passion, love, and desire. These associations could explain why people wearing red are consistently rated as more attractive by the opposite sex. So there we go. So
Yeah, red
ladies in
lipstick.
red, I'm wearing red. Do I look sexy today, babe? Do I look? What you think? What
Of
y'all think?
course.
I got red. In fact, I got red sweats too. No, down here, right?
You
So I'm
just
wearing red on top of red. I bet I'm being down running through Compton like this. I might get in trouble.
remember Kool-Aid, the Kool-Aid man?
I hope we
Hey
dress like this
Kool-Aid.
in LA. What?
Do you remember Hey Kool-Aid, the man?
Oh, I look like the
Remember the
Kool-Aid
Kool-Aid
man.
commercials?
Yeah. Yeah, I got red, but well, I'm wearing my red by IU red because this is our 30th anniversary of our friendship since 30 years ago this week. In case you just got here late, the 30 years ago this week is when I met Alicia when I first laid eyes on her. So we're actually celebrating this week, and we met on the Indiana University campus, and so this is our special week, and I'm excited about that. And you look just as good as you did 30 years ago. That's the crazy part. Black
That's
does not
crazy,
crack.
right?
Yeah, black women, y'all just something else. Looking like Methuselah. Just don't be aging. You're 150 years old, looking like a teenager. All right. Anyway, I saw Madam President's in here. Hey, Madam President, how you doing? Madam President, she's in our movie B1, the movie that's out, and you can go to
How do you
B1.
see who's in there? I don't see anybody.
Oh, she's not in YouTube. She's actually on my Instagram page.
Oh, you're on Instagram. Okay.
Yep, Juiced Up Reese came through. I saw Juiced Up Reese, who's got like this amazing black
I'm
home.
gonna get on Instagram. Can you do me on Instagram too?
What do you mean do you on Instagram? I can do you anywhere, baby. Wait.
You can do me. I want to be. Can I join the live on Instagram?
Yeah, well, you don't do that because that'll cause a weird conflict. So don't worry.
Can you turn the sound down?
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
I'm
Anyway,
requesting to join.
as y'all can see, we've clearly run out of stuff to talk about. So let me let y'all get back to your day as my wife figures out how.
I could talk about marriage all day.
I know you could. But anyway, it was great to talk to all of you today, and thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are honored by your presence. And in case you don't know, my new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy of BoyceWatkins.com. Also, we have lots of free stuff. If you go to my website, BoyceWatkins.com, you can get text alerts of stocks that I like. We call them profit alerts. You can also get access to our $5 a day investing plan for free, as well as a training on how to make money without working. So feel free to hang out with us. We'd love to help you make your life healthier, wealthier, and happier. That's our goal. And God bless all of you. And we will check in with y'all later. So take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.